Alright, so I've given you guys my list for the top 10 best movies of 2019, along with my list for the top 10 worst movies of 2019. So we're officially done with 2019. Well, I will eventually see 1917, and when I do, we'll briefly go back in time to 2019, but officially speaking, 2019's done. The 2010s is over. We made it through a whole decade, guys. Can you believe it? Although with the new talk of World War III, it doesn't sound like we're going to get very far into a new decade, but we are officially on to a new decade, and with that, it's now time for me to give you guys my list for the top 10 most anticipated movies of 2020. Now again, I do have a couple rules for this list right here. Number one, this is not what I'm projecting will be the best movies of the year. This is not what I'm projecting will be the worst movies of the year. These are just the movies that I'm really excited for. These are the movies that I'm really hoping and praying will be good. And these are not the only movies I'm looking forward to in 2020. There are a lot of movies I'm looking forward to this year. I will say though, this is definitely a unique year when it comes to anticipation lists because it's the first year in a while that there haven't been any really big scale movies that we're kind of used to seeing. I mean, there are no Star Wars movies, no big-scale Marvel movies, but that's also part of the fun. There's a little bit more mystery going into this year, and that's what's exciting. So with all that being said, let's get into the list of anticipation. Starting off this list at number 10 is Black Widow. Black Widow is one of those movies that I think every Marvel fan has wanted for a really long time. I feel like ever since Captain America the Winter Soldier, fans started clamoring, alright, Black Widow looks like she's a cool character, she should get her own movie. And now we're finally getting her own movie. After watching the trailer for it, it looks like it's going to have a very Winter Soldier vibe to it. Looks like it's going to be a really big spy, espionage type of movie. It looks like it will explore more on Black Widow's past. I love seeing the casting additions of Florence Pugh and David Harbour. I think they're both going to be great in this movie. I do think it's a little bit of a strange timing to finally get a Black Widow movie in light of the events that happened in Avengers Endgame. But nevertheless, it means we get more Scarlett Jo as Black Widow. Certainly not a bad thing. Number 9, okay, this is one of those movies that I realize could suck horribly, but I can't wait to see it. Bill and Ted Face the Music. The Bill and Ted movies remind me a lot like Dumb and Dumber. They're stupid, but they're hilarious. And honestly, I'm just so excited to see Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves back in a movie together playing Bill and Ted. The Bill and Ted movies are cult classic, and I've wanted a third Bill and Ted movie for so long. Now we're finally getting a sequel, and I'm honestly really excited to see what Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves do in a movie together. And people talk about The Matrix all the time, but this for me was really the movie that launched Keanu's career. I was about to go back into the roots. Admit it, you're interested in seeing that. Don't lie to me. The movie could be stupid, but as long as I laugh, I'll be satisfied. Next to number 8, Birds of Prey, and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Jeez, that's really long. Okay, we can all say what we want about Suicide Squad. I can finally admit it, that movie sucked. It's not good. I jumped on the bandwagon early of fans who thought it was great. After rewatching it, I now know it's not. I still stand by what I say when I say Margot Robbie was the perfect choice to play Harley Quinn, and this movie looks like we're going to see more of why she was. I don't know a whole lot about the story in this movie. I know Ewan McGregor will play the villain. I know Mary Elizabeth Winstead will be among the actresses that are in this Birds of Prey group. But I am really excited to see Margot Robbie in the forefront of a Harley Quinn movie. I'm excited to see her detached from the Joker, doing her own thing. I also heard this movie's going to be rated R. I don't know if that's for sure yet. I really hope it is because I feel like the R-rated comic book movies, they've really been doing well lately. And DC movies being darker than the Marvel movies that are out there, this could really benefit from being rated R. It looks fun, it looks crazy. Lately, the DCEU, I feel like, has found its stride. It's figured out what works for their franchise. And hopefully this is a movie that only continues to work for them. Next at number 7, The Kingsman. Kingsman: The Secret Service was a really unique and I felt refreshing take on the spy movie genre. Then we got Kingsman: The Golden Circle, which for me, I didn't really enjoy quite as much, but I still wanted to see more on this world of The Kingsman. And what Matthew Vaughn decided to do, which I felt was very smart, was instead make a prequel to how the Kingsman organization came to be. The set of this movie looks really cool. Looks like it takes place at some point during maybe World War I. Looks like it's this organization that's being built to go up against these evil tyrants, these old Russian politicians like Rasputin. I'd also be really interested in seeing how the gadgets that we were used to seeing in previous Kingsman movies, how they look in this new Kingsman movie that takes place way back in the day. Will they look a little more old-fashioned? And when I watch this movie, I hope it gives me the fun, exciting time that I had with the original Kingsman: The Secret Service. Sticking with spy movies, let's get into the new James Bond movie that's coming to us in 2020, No Time to Die. I was pleasantly surprised to hear Daniel Craig was going to come back to play James Bond once again. It sounded like he was pretty much done with it after Spectre, which I'm perfectly fine with because I love Daniel Craig as James Bond, and I'm excited to see him in this movie. As is the case with most James Bond movies, I don't really know what this plot's going to circulate around because the way Spectre ends, looks like it was kind of like a send-off for Daniel Craig's James Bond. He finally found a woman that he loved, that he was able to keep alive, and looks like she will have a role once again in this movie. Rami Malek is going to be playing the Bond villain in this movie. I'm really excited for that. Rami Malek, for me, has proven himself to be a phenomenal actor. I think he will make a great villain. And in the end, I'm just excited to see more James Bond stuff. Cool gadgets, nice cars, James Bond being James Bond. And hopefully if this really is Daniel Craig's final movie as James Bond, it sends him out the way it should send him out. At number 5, we have my most anticipated superhero movie of the whole year, Wonder Woman 1984. Wonder Woman remains for me easily the best movie in the DCEU. I felt for me it was the movie that was showing you that the DCEU is starting to get back on track. Wonder Woman was such a fresh take on superhero movies, and I'm very excited to see what else they do with Wonder Woman in this movie. I don't know a whole lot about the plot, but it looks like Chris Pine comes back to life somehow, some way, but I've heard that it also involves on Wonder Woman losing a bit of her powers. But who knows, that could also lead to things like Wonder Woman getting the invisible jet. I'm very interested in what the villain aspect of this movie will be. It also looks like in this movie that Chris Pine will be more of the fish out of water, just like how in the first Wonder Woman was the fish out of water. Patty Jenkins returns as the director, which makes me happy. I always love when directors come back to direct sequels. It's going to be really tough for this movie to top Wonder Woman, but hopefully it gives us a worthy sequel. Staying with sequels at number 4, A Quiet Place Part 2. A Quiet Place was a phenomenal horror movie. That movie was an experience. And the way A Quiet Place ends, it has you wondering, it's like, okay, is it setting up for a franchise? Are we gonna see more of what's happening with this family? What's happening in this world? I feel because it was as loved as it was, and it was as successful as it was, yeah, now we're finally getting to. Watching the trailer for this movie looks scary, it looks intense. I'm very excited to see how this family is gonna survive in this world and combat these monsters. I'd like to see more of an origin on how they came to Earth. Emily Blunt is back, the kid actors, they're all back. John Krasinski returns as a director. I think that's very important. I'm hoping this movie gives me what we got in the first Quiet Place. A really scary, really thrilling, and incredibly peaceful time at the movie theater where no one talks because the movie just puts you in that kind of an atmosphere. That was really nice. Whenever Pixar releases a movie, I always make sure to keep a spot on the anticipation list reserved for that. And the one that I'm excited for the most this year is Soul. I know they also have Onward coming out this year, but Soul is the one that I most really like. That's going to be something special. This movie looks like it could have a very Inside Out mixed with Coco kind of vibe to it, which is great because I absolutely loved both of those movies. Inside Out was probably the best animated movie I saw in the last decade. Emotionally, I want this movie to just completely wipe me out. It looks like it's going to deal with things like finding yourself, discovering your purpose. The animation of this movie, I'm sure, will be beautiful. The voice acting, I'm sure it's all going to be top notch. I want to walk out of this movie the way I walk out of the best Pixar movies. I want to feel like it affected me. And knowing Pixar's track record, I'm almost certain it will. My number 2 most anticipated movie of 2020 is Dune. I know Dune is based off of a sci-fi book. It was also a movie that came out some time ago. I think it was also a miniseries at one point. And now we have Denis Villeneuve. I may be butchering that. He is now directing a new film adaptation of Dune, and I think that's going to be awesome. Denis Villeneuve has easily established himself as one of the best directors working today, especially when it comes to sci-fi. I mean, Arrival, Blade Runner 2049, both of them were amazing, so I have all the confidence in the world that they have the right director to direct Dune. I was reading the cast in this movie. The cast in this movie sounds awesome. I mean, Timothy Chalamet, Oscar Isaac, Rebecca Ferguson, Javier Bardem, Jason Momoa. I'm like, holy fucking shit, let's go. I hadn't seen any of the previous adaptations of Dune. I don't really know too much about the novel that is Dune. I have heard that it could be kind of like a modern day Star Wars. So yeah, don't really know much about this movie, but I love the director, I love the cast, I love sci-fi. So yeah, I'm stoked to see this movie. And here we are, my number 1 most anticipated movie of the year. The movie that I am insanely excited for is, you guessed it, Tenet. It's the newest movie by Christopher Nolan, the guy who brought us Inception, the Dark Knight trilogy, Dunkirk, Interstellar. Do I really need to say anything else? I probably don't, but I'm going to anyway. Christopher Nolan is right up there with Quentin Tarantino as my favorite director of all time. He has never made a movie that I didn't like. Reading the premise of this movie, it sounds like it's going to be an action movie that deals with time travel. And reading up more on that and seeing the trailers, I was thinking to myself, this could very well be like the Inception of this decade. Inception kicked off the 2010 decade, and in a lot of ways, Inception was probably the best movie of the last decade. Now Tenet's kicking off the 2020s, and who knows, maybe when this decade's over, this will be among the best movies. I was also reading a YouTube comment that a fan wrote online talking about how Christopher Nolan is like Thanos, and the movies he makes are like the Infinity Stones. Like, you know, Inception was like the Reality Stone, Interstellar was like the Space Stone, the Dark Knight trilogy was like the Power Stone. Now we have Tenet, and it's gonna be the Time Stone. When I read that comment, I was like, psh, that's insane. I love Christopher Nolan. I love the element of time travel. That's one of my favorite movie elements ever. Put both of those together, and this is easily my most anticipated movie of 2020. I'm probably the most confident in this movie of all the movies that are on this list. I really feel this movie's gonna be amazing. I really hope it is, because if this movie's not, I'm really gonna be disappointed. Christopher Nolan, you haven't let me down yet. Please don't do it now. So there you go, guys. That's my list for the top 10 most anticipated movies of 2020. Now it's over to you guys. Don't forget to leave a comment. Let me know what movies you're most excited for this year. Are there movies you're really excited for? Are there movies that you're maybe kind of excited for, but you're a little bit lenient towards because you're just not too sure about them yet? Again, I already said before, but thanks so much for watching and sticking with me for the last few years since I've been doing YouTube. You guys are awesome, and I'm very excited to kick off a new decade with you guys. But for now, that's all I gotta say. Thanks a lot for watching, and also don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.